Hello and welcome to a tutorial for AutoCAD 2022. I want to show you how to use and kind of get started with AutoCAD and just some of the basics here, just so you can sort of grasp it and be able to use it to your ability and advantage. So what I did is I actually kind of pulled the icon out and I stuck it in the cloud. See what I did there in the cloud. Okay, so I moved it out here so that you could see it and what it actually looks like. So it's a little white square with a red A on it. So we're going to click on that and open up AutoCAD. And I have got, let me get back to the main screen here for you. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you first open it. Okay, an AutoCAD is it's going to show a list of drawings once you started working on some, so it'll show you that right here in the middle screen. But one thing over on the right, somewhere either at the top or kind of close to the bottom, it's probably going to say log in if you haven't already done that, or if it's not a default. But you'll need to make sure you log in, or you can come up here next to the little blue guy and click on the down arrow and then just do a sign in. Okay, and once you do, that way it helps and it kind of keeps notifications at a minimal and that kind of thing as you're using AutoCAD. And then over in the bottom left, there's a bunch of help stuff. Just ways of helping to learn AutoCAD, or you can contact me, whatever makes it easier. So I've got over in the top left, I've got open and new. Okay, real simple. We're going to do new. We're just going to open up a new drawing, and you'll see how it just kind of opens up into a black screen there. And this is a preference, okay? And so we're going to look at that to change that in case that's something you want to do. So if I go up to the very top left, there's a red A with a little down arrow. So we're going to click on that down arrow, and it's going to open pretty much the same thing that you see up at the top of your screen. You got new, open, save, save as, and you got import, export. Your screen actually has mobile, like webs. So if you're a superintendent or someone on a job site with drawings on a tablet or an iPad, you can make changes there and then download and that kind of thing, and it will update once you get back to your office or home. But what I want to look at is the options tab here. So if you go to the very bottom, you see where it says options. We're going to click on that, and it'll pull up a dialog box for us, and you'll see all across the tab we got some all across the top we have some tabs. I guess I was talking like a New Yorker there for a minute. But so I got files, this is the first thing, and then display is the second one. So this is what I want to look at for a second. If I come down here to colors and click on that, and the top thing up there that you see is a 2D model space, so two-dimensional model space, uniform background. Right now it's set to black. If I can change that to any color I want. Like if I was to change it to white, for instance, and hit apply, you'll see it changes the background to white, and then the lines that you draw will be black on top of it. That may be better for you as far as vision. Everybody has a preference, right? I personally like the black background, so I'm going to go back here and change it back to black, and then hit apply and close, and there's that. Next tab over is open and save. You'll notice it says 2018 drawing. Yes, that is correct. I do have the 2022 AutoCAD, but the 2018 drawing is the latest that they have on there. You'll notice it's a .dwg file extension. That is what will be saved to your computer. It'll be .dwg and a .bak, which is the backup file. Okay, so if I click on that, I can actually scroll all the way down and save it. The bottom one is a R12, which is release 12, and then up here there's a release 14. Release 13 and 14 is what I actually learned AutoCAD on back in 1993, 94. So that kind of dates me there just a little bit, but 2018 is the latest and greatest, so that's cool. That is not an error, so you can leave it as that. Next one over is plot and publish. You notice it doesn't say print. AutoCAD is a drawing software, so typically you plot drawings with this, and a lot of times they're large, like B size, C size, D size drawings, which, size of blueprints. So I can click on this down arrow and select whatever printer you want to actually print to. Right now it's kind of set to a PDF, and I'm just going to leave it as that. You also have another chance to change that when you actually go to the plot function, which is up here in the top of your screen. That we'll look at that a little bit later on. So then you got system, user preference, and then drafting is the other one I want to look at. Drafting you can change the size and shape of the aperture box, which is kind of like a selection box. We won't be doing that, but I can show you how to do that later on too. It's just, to me, the default size is like just right. You don't want it too large of a box because it'll select more things than you actually want. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK because that was the main thing. I want to show you how to change the background there. Okay, so AutoCAD, we kind of covered the top row there, sort of like a typical Windows application. And then the next one down is the different menus that you can go through. You got Home, Insert, Annotate. If you click on each one, they've got different things throughout there, and we'll be using a good part of those, but I want to keep it on the Home for now. If you're clicking away and you accidentally click this little rectangle right here, it does change your ribbon up here. So what this does is it still gives you all the same icons for commands, but it makes them smaller and underneath like headings. So I personally don't like it because I want to look and find the picture I want to, for the tool or command I want to do. So I don't like it like that. That's just, again, just a preference. So if you click on that little white rectangle again, it'll minimize it even smaller, and now it's just pull down menus. And then if you keep going, really not sure what this next one is right here, to be honest with you. But if you click one more time, it'll pull it back to a normal screen where you can kind of see all the commands. I don't know. Personally, I like this. You'll get the feel for it and may change later on. Okay. Moving right along, the other thing I want to show you is in the bottom left. This is the UCS, the User Coordinate System. And this is your X, Y, and Z axis, okay? So I'm going to kind of try to put that in the middle of the screen. I'm just using my mouse to zoom in and out to get it over here. So X, Y, and then Z is looking straight at us. So X is your left and right axis, Y is your up and down axis, and then Z is coming straight at us. So if you look in the book, or I can shift over to my screen monitor, and I'm going to slide this out of the way just for a minute. I'm going to use my hand. So if I put my hand here and I move around so that my middle finger is pointing straight at you, and please don't take offense to that. It's just representing the X, Y, and Z axis. If I move this around, you can see all three of the axis. If I move it to where my middle finger is kind of pointing straight up, all you really see is the Y axis, which is my index finger here, and then my thumb is the X axis. Okay, so that's what that's looking at, and I can show you too in the book just to let you know I'm not crazy. In the book, it's got that as well. There is the picture of the hand and the middle finger coming straight at you there as well. So I just wanted to show you that. So on page 20, it does show that in the drafting world. Okay, so that is X, Y, and Z. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the zoom functions, but before I do, this one in the top left is kind of your little rolling orbiter, if you will. And if I click on this little box, left click and hold down and move, there we go. It will rotate the views in three-dimensional world, and you'll notice my pivot spot in the middle of the screen, the X, Y, and Z, is also moving around crazy like. So if I leave it there, you'll notice I'm now in three-dimensional world, and you're like, how do I get back? You can either click the little house, which is home. Actually, no, that brings it to the 3D world. The best thing to do really is type in the word plan, P-L-A-N, and hit enter, and it will bring you back to the current UCS. The current UCS or the two-dimensional, which is what we're going to be using. We won't be using 3D in this particular series. We'll be doing that later when we get into Revit. And then over on the far right, you got the zoom commands. The first one is the wheel, the full navigation wheel. And this one, if I click on it, it attaches to my mouse, and you can see I can move around this wheel. So I got orbit, pan, rewind, zoom. All this is here. The most thing I use is pan and orbit and zoom, to be honest with you. If I want that gone, I can click that little X, or I can right click and go down here and say close wheel. Okay, so that kind of gets rid of it. And then below that is another popular function, and some of this I'm going to actually have to show you a little bit more when I have an actual drawing going on, but pan actually moves back and forth on the page. It kind of slides the page around, and if I click the little down arrow by the zoom, I got zoom extents, window, previous, all, it keeps going. So all these different functions, again, I will show this once we get a drawing going. Let's see, down in the bottom left you got model, layout 1 and layout 2. Those are just for paper space and model space. If you accidentally click layout 1, it'll turn your drawing that looks like this, and if you don't want that and you're like, how do I get back, just come back and click on model right here, the little tab, and it'll pull you back to this. Next thing, kind of going counterclockwise here, is the command line, and this is kind of your friend because when you click a command, it tells you step by step on what to do. You can move up until you get the little double arrow here, and you can actually click and hold and pull it up, and you can see all the commands that you've done. Okay, so that's kind of what I've done so far in this model, and I can bring it right back down to where it was. But this is a step-by-step. Again, I'll show you that once we get going. And then the last thing, in the bottom right, you have all these little buttons down here. The ones to be concerned with is mainly the grid. If I turn that on and off, you just kind of click on it and toggle it back and forth. It turns the grid off, and then the snap as well. A snap on and off, okay? And you can adjust all that to your preference. What we're going to be doing, I'm not going to get into details of that, but I like to keep the grid on. It kind of gives me a I don't know, feel like I'm working on graph paper or something. And then the next one you want to look at is Ortho Mode, which is F8. So if I click on Ortho Mode, you'll notice it highlights it. I can also hit F8 on my function buttons on top of my keyboard, and that will change some stuff. And I'll show you that once we get going into drawing. And then the other thing is the snaps. So I got this snap cursor 2D reference. It's the oh snap buttons. Oh snap. And so if I click on the little down arrow, it pulls it up. All these little options here. Again, once we get drawing, I'll show you this. You'll want nearest, perpendicular, intersection, quadrant, center, midpoint, endpoint. It needs to have a little checkbox. And all you do is you click on it. If you just click and unclick it, it puts the checks there for you. Okay? And we'll come back to that here in just a second as well. All right, so there's the ribbon, window functions, menus, zoom functions, command line, model and paper space, and then the bar at the bottom, which gives you a lot of different options as well. So that sort of is the basic fundamentals of AutoCAD. And so the next thing I want to show you is actually how to draw some lines and actually use some of the commands. All right, so what we're going to do is actually just draw some stuff just to use some of the commands and get a feel for it. So I'm going to start with line because that's kind of what AutoCAD is based around. So we're going to click on line, which is in the very far left, right underneath the home button. And the line command, once I click on it, there we go, it pulls a couple of things in. Number one, down in the command line, you'll see where it says line and specify first point. Again, it's telling you word for word, step by step, how to do something. Okay, it's like a coach for you. And then also it says it up there attached to the crosshair. So I'm just going to click. And when I click, that's my start point. So now it says specify next point. Like, where are you going next, bro? Where are you going? Which direction and all that. So if I move my line around, you can see how it pulls down, and right now it's just a decimal number, right? And then I got 37 degrees. So we're going to be doing stuff in the construction realm here, and so we want feet and inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape because I want to change that. So if you start drawing and it's not feet and inches, then you may want to do the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the word unit, or units with an S, sorry. So if you look, it pulls up all the other, it almost looks like it says donuts right there. It pulls up all the other words or commands that have the word units in it. We just want plain old units, which is the one at the top. So we can either left click on that or hit enter, however you want to do it. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to pull up a dialog box. Okay, so this dialog box is going to tell you what drawing units to use or which options you have. Right now, default, it's set on decimal. Well, I don't want decimal. I want architectural. okay? And it does the precision of the 16th. That's fine. Leave it right there. You can change it with the down arrow, right? Change all that. Decimal degrees and 0 precision on the angle. We're going to leave that as is. So that's pretty much all we're changing. It's just from decimal to architectural. And I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now if I go up and click on line and click and move somewhere, now you can see it says, oh, 3 5/16 of an inch, 27 degrees. That's still the same. But you'll notice how the line is attached to my crosshairs, and it's where we went. Now, just to let you know, when I first clicked right here, my start point, I clicked the mouse and then I let go. So you like left click, let go, okay? And then, because I've had some students that like click and hold it down. Don't do that. Some softwares probably do that. AutoCAD does not. So left click, let go, pull your mouse away, and you'll notice this. Now, you'll see how, like I said, the line can be pretty much drawn in any angle whatsoever. Well, it's kind of hard to come over here and exactly draw a straight line without like really concentrating on getting it there, okay? So the easiest thing to do is go back down to that bottom right and click on Ortho Mode, F8. So you can either hit F8 on your keyboard if you're a function button person, or you can just come down here and click on this little right angle with the little square in the middle. And when you do that, you'll notice it just does straight lines either up and down or left and right. Okay, so X and Y, correct? Okay. So if I move to the right, you'll notice the degree says 0. If I go straight up, kind of going counterclockwise, it says 90 degrees. If I go to the far left, like opposite from where I was going, it says 180. So 180 degrees in the opposite direction, right? And then if I pull straight down, it's actually 270. It says 90 on that angle, but if you look on the rectangle, it says ortho, and then it'll say 270 degrees, and then back up to 0. Okay, so in drafting world, we use this little circle, this gradient circle, if you will. And so that's what I want to show you now on the book. So if I flip back, flip ahead to the next page, page 23, you will see that right here in your book. And so what that is, it starts at 0, and if I am making this video, I may have to pop a picture up too just to get that enlarged. But 0 is on the far right, like at 3 o'clock, if you're looking at a standard clock. And then it goes 45 degrees, so I'm going counterclockwise. And then straight up is 90. And then 135, and then 180, and then 225, and then straight down is 270, 315, and then back to 0, or 360 degrees. So that works out pretty good right there. Again, that is the degrees that AutoCAD uses. So it'll be good to become familiar with that. Okay. All right, so back to drawing world here. And so what I want to do is I'm just going to come over here a little bit. I'm not even going to put if I wanted to type in, like I can do 4, for instance. And if I hit enter, it's going to go 4 inches, okay? AutoCAD understands inches if you don't type anything. Like if I just type the number 4, it assumes inches, okay? So if you want 4 feet, you have to say 4 and then the foot mark, okay? And we'll do that here in just a second. So I'm going to pull down and do another square here on this, or another line coming down, and I'm just going to type in 4 again and hit enter. And then pull over, and I'm going to hit 4 again and hit enter. So it looks like we're drawing a square here. So I can do 2 things, actually 3. I can type in the letter C and hit enter, and C means close, okay? Once I do that, the command will end, and it will draw a square for me. Or I can come up here and hover over that endpoint. And if I create that little green square, that's the O snap I was talking about. Oh, snap. So if I do that, the little green square comes over, and there's endpoint. Okay, so there's that. And again, if I go down to that little pull down, there's my endpoint. Okay, so it does that for me. I can also type 4, get going in this same direction and type 4 and hit enter. So either way, there's like 3 options. But if I click on the endpoint, and then you'll notice the line is still attached to me. If I hit C and hit enter, then it closes out the command altogether. So I'm going to have to hit escape because that's all I want to do. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do is do a circle. So I'm going to come over here and click circle. Now, you'll notice the default on this one is center, comma, radius. So I draw the center of the circle first. Okay. Wait, let me hover again. And it'll open up the bigger square. There it goes. So I find center first, so that's my 0.1. And then it's going to ask me for the radius. Well, what if I don't know the radius, or I just know the diameter? Well, we can do that too. If I click the down arrow, you have some options where you can go center radius, center diameter, 2 point, 3 point, 10. We'll be doing some of these along the way, but there's some different options to draw circles. Again, depending on what you're actually doing. I'm going to keep the one that we picked here, did that do tan radius? No, center radius. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the end point of this top right corner. That is the center of my circle. So I'm going to left click. And when I pull my mouse away, you'll notice it's drawing a circle. Now, it's asking for the radius, because down in the command line it says specify radius of the circle. So I can type in a number here, or if I don't know the radius and I just know the diameter, I mean, you can divide the diameter by 2 to find the radius, but say you didn't know that and you're like, okay, all I know is that the diameter is 4. Well, I can click on the letter D, or type letter D from my keyboard. See, it pops up there, and then hit enter. And now it says in the command line, specify diameter of circle. Oh, you changed your mind. Okay. So the diameter, I want it to be 3. So I'm going to type in 3 and hit enter, and it's 3 inches diameter. Okay. So I'm going to do another circle. And I'm going to click endpoint, and I'm going to say, I want to go back to diameter this time. I'm going to say diameter, and I'm going to say 5. So it's going to draw a little bigger of a circle. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to click the endpoint here. That's my center. And I'm going to say diameter again, and I'm going to say 4 feet. And I put the feet mark in now. Well, it's going to go like clear off the screen. Okay, watch this. Bam. So I hit enter. You didn't see it. Well, if I can use my mouse wheel to zoom out, or I can come over here to my zoom functions and say zoom all. And it's going to zoom out, so I see this circle, and then I see what I just was drawing, okay? So this might have been a mistake, right? Like this circle is too big. So you may be finding that too. If you're drawing or something and you draw a circle and it's like, hey, I could have swore I drew a circle, do a zoom all. Chances are that you just typed in the wrong, foot or inch or whatever, and it just drew like this humongous thing. So I want to erase this circle. So I'm going to go to the erase command. So here's erase. I'm going to left click on it. And you can see my mouse right here, my little box. If I left click and pull down to the left or pull up to the left, either way, it's going to, you see how it disappears there? Because I'm selecting that circle. And anything, you see how it's a green box with a dashed line around it. So anything that touches that box is going to get selected. Now, if I pull to the right up or to the right down, you'll notice it's blue. So that means it's not going to select it. So I'm going to move my mouse just a little bit just so you can see this. How about like right here? Okay. So if I do blue, you'll notice that circle is inside the box, but it's not doing it. So anything that starts and stops inside that blue box will actually get selected. Okay. So I don't want that. I want the green one. You notice too how it highlights different. It like blinks at you. So if I go to the left, it's going to select it. Okay, so now I selected the object. That's all I want to erase, so I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to say bye-bye. So now I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to say zoom all, and it's going to bring me right back in. Now, the wheel on your mouse is probably one of my friends too, because if I want to work in this bottom left corner of the rectangle or triangle or square or whatever shape that is, I'm going to use that mouse and wheel up to zoom into it. If I want to zoom into this, I'm going to move my mouse and zoom in. So you can, go up as zoom in and then pull back as zoom out. So it will zoom to wherever your mouse is, okay, or your crosshairs, whatever you want to call that. Let's see. The other thing I want to do is copy. So I can copy stuff as well. So I'm going to copy this little circle right here. So I selected it. I don't know if you saw that. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So I selected that circle, but just by picking it. Now I can also select this way by left clicking and putting a box around it. Okay, so you can select that way as well as just picking with the box. Either way, you're left clicking, right? Left click for the box or left click to actually select the circle. Okay, so that's all I want to copy, and I'm going to hit enter or right click on the mouse, however you want to do it. And I want to, now I'm going to like copy this circle. I want to copy it from this corner of the square to this left corner, okay? So it says on the command line, it says specify base point. Well, my base point is going to be this end point, because I know if I copy from this endpoint to this endpoint, it's going to be exact. If I come out here in the middle of space and pick and move over, how do I know if I'm getting the center exactly on that corner? I don't, okay? So that's why I want to use points to move stuff, okay? So I selected the circle. Now it says base point. I'm going to click this endpoint. So now it says, okay, specify the second point, or where are you going to put this circle is what it's saying, okay? So I'm going to move over, and you see how it's attached to my mouse, but the other one is still there. That's fine, that's good, because I'm copying. So I'm going to come over here to the far left and click on that endpoint right there, and boom, it puts it over there. Now, if I want to copy it again, I could come right over here to this, which is a quadrant. So it's kind of copying it. See, quadrants have got there's like 4 quadrants to a circle, right? You got the top, the bottom, and the left and the right, all at like 3, 6, 9, and 12, right, on the clock. So I'm going to copy it to this quadrant, and I'm going to left click. Okay, so that's all I want to do, okay, before I start drawing the Olympic rings here. But that's kind of just to give you an idea of how to use the copy command, okay? So you copy command, select the object. When you're done selecting the objects, you hit enter to go to the next step, and then you pick a base point where you're going to copy that to. Okay, so you left click or whatever and select where you're copying it from, and then it asks you where you want to copy it to. Okay, so there's that. Let's see here. So that's copy, move. I'm trying to think of some other commands. We can use the trim command too. If I click on trim, like say I don't want all these circles in here, so I want to zoom in just a little bit, and I'm gonna if I just mouse over some of these things, you see where it like it cuts it out of the way. So if it disappears like that when you mouse over it, that's what it can get rid of, okay? So let's just say I don't want the part of the circle that goes inside this circle. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click. See where it got rid of it? I'm going to mouse over this one and click. It got rid of that one. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to click, 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 or if I don't want to click, I can always put a fence through it, a line through it. But see where it kind of hit it? It sort of tucked that circle back behind these other two. Okay, so the trim command is pretty nice too. And if you click the down arrow next to the trim, there's an extend command. Okay, so let's just say I want to extend this arc that the part of the circle I trimmed out. I want to extend it to this smaller circle in here. So I can come up here and click click extend, and I can mouse over, or just okay, let's see, select object you want to extend to. So I'm going to click that. What do you call it? That circle. And then if I mouse over this circle, you see how it kind of extends it for me and it shows me what it would look like. I'm going to mouse over and left click, and boom, it did that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the trim command. So a little down arrow next to extend goes to trim. So trim and extend are kind of like they share that space. Okay. Now what I want to do is trim the large circle, because see here, if I mouse over it gets rid of it. So I'm going to trim the large circle and leave that there. Isn't that just special? So there's that. So I did line, circle, I did move, copy, and then trim. Okay. Oh, and then erase. We did erase as well. So that should kind of get you started a little bit into AutoCAD. Just some very basic functions that you'll use a lot. I mean, when you're doing drawings, it's like you use the trim and extend all the time. Obviously, erase, move, copy, just some of that. And again, just remember the ortho on and ortho off to draw straight lines. So really, that's kind of it that I wanted to show you for this. Just a real basic kind of push you out and get you started into AutoCAD. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, just let me know or leave it in the comments. Thanks a lot. Have a great day and enjoy AutoCAD. It's awesome.